Welcome to Sports Talk with L-Beasley. It is Thursday afternoon here in Detroit, Michigan for me. And, it's a lot of stuff going on in New York right now, from the football field to the basketball court. Starting off with the football field, we got Santonio Holmes, who we just learned today is out for the season with a foot injury. So, at this point, you got to start asking yourself, are the Jets done? Some people felt like they've already been done. Some people feel like now that they lost Holmes, and then of course they lost Reeves not too long ago to a torn ACL, they just feel like the Jets are done. And I'm not gonna count them out yet, because this is the NFL. If I've learned anything, it's never to count out any team. But at the end of the day, I'll see how they bounce back with Holmes being out. I'm not, like I said, it's too early personally for me to start saying that they're done. But, they are losing two, basically playmakers. Like I said, Holmes and Reeves. They're basically the top playmakers on their respective sides of the ball. So the loss of Holmes is a crushing injury to already a struggling offense, which has only scored 2 touchdowns in the last 12 plus quarters, which is, like I said. So I'm not going to say they're done until I see them play without Holmes officially. But I'm also interested to see how they're going to do with the Jason Hill, which is a veteran receiver who was formerly part of the Jacksonville Jaguars and the San Francisco 49ers. They signed him to, basically replace or help out with the loss of Santonio Holmes. So I'm very interested to see that. But as I said so many times before, I'm not going to say that they're done. But at the end of the day, you still have people that I want to see step up. Dustin Keller, who pulled a hamstring. Rookie Stephen Hill, who missed the last game. It's at this point, it's like you need to get healthy more than anything. Because, you have guys on this team who can help take up the slack of Santonio Holmes. And at the end of the day, it still goes back to the O-line protecting team. It still goes back to Rex Ryan and the rest of the New York Jets coaching staff and really just coming together as a team and saying this is what we're going to do. It's not necessarily going to put Tebow in solving the problem. I'm not saying Tebow can't help. I'm just saying don't make it all about Sanchez not getting the job done. Like I said, it's time for Dustin Keller, Stephen Hill to get healthy. And let's make sure that these guys are ready. I said you guys have the opportunity to still cause a little noise right now. Or not even cause a little noise, just stay basically consistent and stable if you guys just do what you're supposed to. Get your running game established. That'll open up the door for some passing. You know what I'm saying? Get the O-line going. Make sure they're protecting Sanchez. Give Sanchez some time. Stephen Hill, Dustin Keller, get healthy. When you guys are on the field, make the catch. So at the end of the day, huge blow for the Jets. Not happy to hear about Santonio Holmes being out. Not even a Jets fan, but never want to hear about somebody being hurt, let alone out for the season. So definitely pulling for him in that regard. The other big news around New York is the New York Knicks. First, Rasheed Wallace is officially a New York Knick now. He is a part of that dang on Knicks squad. Brought him out of retirement, Rasheed Wallace. Now, because I'm from Detroit, raised in Detroit. For me, it's a little bittersweet because, I grew up, I grew up for the most part, with Rasheed on the Pistons for, good point of view, from a good point of view. I had Sheed on our team for a while. He was part of our championship squad. He caused a lot of issues for us with his trash talking, but I like him. The only thing I have a couple concerns with Rasheed Wallace. First off, it seems to me that they just keep getting older and older. If I'm the Knicks, y'all seem to keep getting older. If I'm really looking at the Knicks roster, y'all kind of got an old squad. Y'all got Tyson Chandler, who's 30. You got Jason Kidd, who's 39. You got Kurt Thomas, who's 39. Who else is headed to their 30s? I think J.R. Smith's 27. Mark Stoudemire, he's 29. He'll be 30. Carmelo Anthony's 28. Marcus Camby's 38. It's like y'all getting kind of old. That's the thing. But I think y'all might be the oldest team, which is, y'all might actually be taking that title from the Celtics and the Spurs and whatnot right now. I don't know. At this point, with the Knicks, if I'm Rasheed Wallace, first I want to just see how he comes in, physically. He's been retired. Yes, he looked good and whatnot. But at the end of the day, we all know, your body can change. If you haven't been playing this sport, we see what not being in shape. Carmelo Anthony proved even when he, last year, at 27, 28 years old, if you out of shape, it shows. I've never seen Carmelo Anthony such out of shape. One big shout out to Denver Nuggets. Like I said, they have a great training staff who, always made a point to have all their players, healthy and in shape. And, hopefully Carmelo Anthony looks better this year. But that's the thing, making sure he's ready to go. What I mean? Like I said, you guys, Knicks have a nice little deep squad, but at the end of the day, when he is on the court, you want Rasheed Wallace to be able to do other things besides trash talking. I'll put it that way. So at the end of the day, I think it's a nice move. Like I said, he's old as I don't know what, but it's a nice move. Like I said, he's going to be able to spread the floor. Obviously, that's something you can't do with players like Tyson Chandler, Marcus Camby, Kurt Thomas, players like that, because, as good as post, they're good in the post defensively, not necessarily offensively, but defensively they are. But, Rasheed Wallace can go out there and on the 3-point line spread the floor, which is a good thing. And like I said, hopefully he brings a little bit more of that fighting edge to New York. And I think that's something New York needs. Rasheed Wallace has never been necessarily, to me, the leadership type. I always kind of want him to step up and not necessarily do so much mouth as far as, talking with the refs and with other players and opponents, but I kind of want him to be that leader. But at this point, I really look for somebody else to be that leader on New York Knicks. But I would like for him to kind of just bring that rough ruggedness to the Knicks, because I think the Knicks have the potential to do that. I kind of felt like Tyson Chandler can kind of bring it a little bit. Hopefully Marcus Camby will bring a little bit. And obviously J.R. Smith can definitely bring some talking, some trash talking. But at the end of the day, I'm hoping that Rasheed is just going to bring that we don't take no mess type mentality and kind of give the Knicks a little bit roughness to them, basically. It's basically what I'm saying I'm hoping to see. So like I said, the end of the day, it's a good move. Like I said, just only problem I have right now, like I said, is the fact that y'all are old as I don't know what, talking about the Knicks right now with all these pieces y'all have. And just interested to see how he's going to come in, how he's going to fit into the system with Woodson and whatnot, and just looking definitely to see how that's going to work out. The other big thing that happened with the Knicks was Raymond Felton was announced as the starter the other day, and this was kind of a mixed thing. Some people felt like Jason Kidd should have been the starter, but at the end of the day, they picked Raymond Felton. I guess I see why they picked Raymond Felton. They're hoping that he can kind of basically go back to that 2010-2011 season with the Knicks, where he averaged around 17 points and 9 assists before he was dealt to Denver. And it was always, rumored that him and Amari Stoudemire had great chemistry and did some nice things, especially if you allowed them to do some pick and roll action. So I wouldn't have mind seeing Jason Kidd start, but at the end of the day, the good thing is if you do start Raymond Felton, you have somebody who is dependable, who is a leader coming right off the bench in Jason Kidd. And as I've said so many times, just because you start the game doesn't mean you're going to finish the game. We've seen that plenty of times. We know starters who don't even finish the game. Technically your starter should always finish the game, but at the end of the day, you got to go with the hot hand. For all we know, Jason Kidd may be the one who's in on crunch time. It would also be nice to maybe see Raymond Felton and Jason Kidd on the floor at the same time, which can always be a threat. Having two guys who can pass the ball, create, and score if needed to in the backcourt at the same time could be huge. So at the end of the day, Jason Kidd, from what I hear, is fine with it, and I think at this point with Jason Kidd, he knew there was if he went almost anywhere else, he knew he was probably going to come off the bench as well. Even when he was talking about going to Brooklyn to play with Darren Williams, there was a possibility that we knew. We knew he was going to come off the bench. So obviously, Jason Kidd has no problem coming off the bench. He does what he needs to do. Like I said, at the end of the day, even if you do not like Felton starting, you can at least feel comfortable that you have somebody like a Jason Kidd coming off the bench and knowing that you have a leader coming off. Like I said, Raymond Felton, I see what they're doing. We'll see. Like I said, we know things change. I'm not going to make a big deal about it. I don't really care either way it goes because I'm not even like a Knicks fan like that. I would personally prefer to see Jason Kidd start a little bit. But like I said, I see what they're saying. We got the young crew in and, pretty much in the first, with the starters. Let's see if him and Amari can get that chemistry going. And then Carmelo saying he's also going to pass the ball more, which is a whole nother issue. But, we'll see how it goes. But at the end of the day, I think it's still a win-win either way you go. And if Raymond Felton doesn't get the job done, you start Jason Kidd, Raymond Felton comes off the bench, period. As for Carmelo Anthony, he made a statement yesterday saying he's not going to be all about scoring this year. He's going to be more of a team player and about getting his teammates involved. And at this point with Carmelo, I hope that's true. But as I've always said plenty of times, not just about Melo, but about players, period. Actions speak louder than words. You can tell me that all you want, okay, it's time to be a team player. I hope you are, because I honestly think that's all Carmelo needs to do to help take his team to the next level is be a team player. One of the key reasons, Denver always was missing a couple pieces, but one of the key reasons Denver could never go so far was because there was no team chemistry. It was always about giving Melo the ball. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with giving Melo the ball, but Melo has to pass it back, and Melo, you have to get your team involved. And Melo, you have decent vision. You can create for others. Are you a Magic Johnson? Are you a Jason Kidd? Are you a Steve Nash? Are you even a LeBron James? No, I don't necessarily think that. But I think that you have good enough vision and have the ability to create opportunities for your teammates. And I think you need to do it because it's going to make your team better. Denver shows to be better when you were actually hurt or when you weren't there because it became about the team and not just about Carmelo Anthony. And I think the same thing can happen with the Knicks if you share the ball. So at this point, I hope it's true what he's saying, but I'm not going to make a big deal about it because at the end of the day, personally for me, like I said, till you show me that you can do it on a consistent basis, I'm not going to start tripping about it. But I hope his statement is true, and I hope I do see it this season along with the rest of his career. Moving on, the NBA has now made penalties for flopping. I know that was a big thing for NBA fans. NBA fans, y'all know what I'm talking about. All this flopping from our stars to our bench warmers. They all were flopping. It was very irritating. So, NBA has new flopping penalties. Now, the first time you do it, it's a warning. The second time you get basically fined $5,000. The third time, $10,000. Fourth time, $15,000. The fifth time, $30,000. And after that, it could be a possible suspension. At this point, I think I'm going to see less of it. Do I think it's going to completely stop? No, maybe just because I don't trust our players to stop completely flopping, especially since they got in the habit of doing it the last couple of years. But hopefully, after the fines start going, it will. And, for some of these guys, 10,000, 15 is nothing. For others, it is. It just depends on that person's salary. And, obviously, if you do it past 5 times, now we're talking about a possible suspension, which could hurt you in your career, and not only that, your team. So, definitely don't want this. I'm hoping it will have effect. I think it will have an effect. Like I said, it just really depends on who, really won't know until we see it. I expect to see in preseason if it's, if I'll see it continue. But at the end of the day, like I said, the penalties are now, one is a warning. Second time is $5,000. The third time is $10,000. The fourth time is $15,000. And the fifth time is $30,000. And if you go past 5, now we're talking about possible suspension. So, once again, hope to see it improve. Like I said, that was very irritating for me. Since I played the game, I didn't believe in flopping. I hated flopping. I took a charge just like anybody else, but I did not like the flopping aspect. So hopefully we will not see too much of that this season. Hopefully the players just don't want to see it. Like I said, it takes away from the credibility of the game, similar to what we said about the NFL with the refs and whatnot. It takes away from the credibility and integrity of the game. Don't want to see it. Players stop flopping. Play some defense like a real man or get the heck out the NBA. And then a couple other things people have been asking me on Twitter, when am I going to do my NBA preview? I'm coming soon, but just to kind of give you a preview, I've been asked a couple questions, like which player will I think take the biggest step forward this season? And a couple people I'm looking at are people like Evan Turner with the Sixers. Last year with Andre Iguodala, he was kind of that guy behind Andre Iguodala, Lou Williams. But now that both of those guys are gone, I'm kind of basically looking now for Turner and Drew Holiday to kind of rise and be the perimeter threats basically for the Sixers. So I guess you could say Drew Holiday and Evan Turner. I'm looking for them to make kind of big steps up this season. Like I said, there's no more Lou Williams to kind of be that person for you. There's no more Andre Iguodala. They're gone. And I think they're also going to mesh well with Andrew Bynum once he gets back on the court. So I'm kind of looking at those guys. I'm also looking at Blake Griffin to have a better run this year. Hopefully Andrew Bogut and Stephen Curry to have a better thing as well. Like I said, obviously Blake Griffin, he said he worked on his jump shot. And he said he can actually shoot now. We'll see. Like I said, actions speak louder than words. Hopefully he did. Like I said, I really hope he can shoot now, because that's always been my problem with Blake Griffin. You have all the potential in the world. I want to see you do well. I don't want to see you be that person like a Lamar Odom, Lamar Stoudemire, who I always felt could have been way better than what they were, but just never put the work ethic in to do that. So hopefully Blake Griffin looks better this season. Like I said, Stephen Curry and Andrew Bogut can stay healthy. I think they'll do wonders for the Golden State Warriors, and I think they'll just do well, period. So definitely looking for that. Kawhi Leonard of the Spurs, looking for him to have a nice little breakout season. He did exceptionally well for them last year. Want him to have another big year. I'm also looking at Kyrie Irving of the Cleveland stinking Cavaliers. I like Cleveland. I'm looking for Kyrie to do well. He's already saying he thinks his team can make the playoffs. A couple people laughed at that when he made the statement. Kyrie Irving, thinks his team can make the playoffs. I'm not really I see where he's coming from. What people have to remember about Kyrie Irving is he comes from a winning culture. From high school at St. Patrick's to Duke. He wants to win, and not only that, he's trying to be a leader to his team, which I can always respect. So Kyrie Irving, I do expect him to have a big year as long as he stays healthy. I also think that Klay Thompson will have a good year as well. Like I said, did wonders this year in the summer league, so I'm definitely hoping that he can do the same this year and just continue it on. Some teams in the West, if people want to know what team in the West do I think has the best shot at the playoffs, or lottery team in a way. And I would probably have to say right now the Timberwolves are probably the team I'm definitely looking at to kind of just come out the blue. You know, obviously you have Kevin Love, Ricky Rubio. Was front runner for Rookie of the Year. As long as he gets back healthy right now, he's expected to be back around December. So I think he could do well. And then you got other people on the team now. Brandon Roy, Chase Budinger. Obviously, like I said, you always got Kevin Love. So I'm definitely looking forward to watching the Timberwolves. That's the team that I think could definitely, get that nice little spot, in the West and cause some issue. Same question for the East. Which East lottery team has the best shot at the playoffs? It's kind of an easy question in a way. I guess you could kind of basically say the Brooklyn Nets. Brooklyn Nets for me personally right now would be that team that I would personally have to say right now. But times can change. Like I said, this is all just pre-evaluation based off what I'm seeing. But Brooklyn Nets right now, just based off everything that they've done and acquired, I would have to kind of go with them as far as the Brooklyn Nets. And now, which West team team will move to an elite status for me? It should be the Clippers. It should be. I don't like to say the Lakers. People are going to say, like, why didn't you say the Lakers? Because to me, the Lakers are already basically the elite team. I don't really like to say they're going to move to an elite status. To me, the Lakers are an elite team. So I don't really want to say they're going to move to an elite status. Clippers are not an elite team. So I'm looking at the Clippers to kind of move into it and be that elite status. Possibly the Nuggets. With like I said, with the acquisition of Andre Iguodala and building on what they did off last year with Ty Lawson, McGee, and the rest of their squad, hopefully they can be that team as well. As far as the East, which East playoff team will move to that elite status? I would really love to say the Bulls, but I don't know without Derrick Rose how they're going to play right now, so I can't say them. But I think the Pacers could definitely move in there. They re-signed George Hill, they re-signed Roy Hibbert, which was a nice move. Like I said, number 3 seed in the East. Hopefully they learn from what they did wrong and can improve on it. The Knicks could possibly be that team, just depending on how they play. I'm not really sold on the Knicks fully yet, but the Pacers could be that team. And I guess you could say the Celtics could move to that elite status, but in the East, I always kind of felt like the Celtics to me are kind of like the Lakers. I always kind of felt basically they kind of were elite, just either were hindered by injuries or a little bit of inconsistency, but I guess you could say the Celtics. But that's kind of like my little short preview, I guess you could say, of what I think is going to happen. As far as some teams and some players in the NBA, like I said, I will be doing very soon. I will be doing my little NBA preview, either before preseason or right after preseason, because I do like to see these kids play first before I start, saying who's going to do what. But, depending on what I see in preseason, more than likely is when I'll do my preview of the NBA, who I think is going to do what and whatnot. I hope you enjoyed this segment of Sports Talk with L-Beasley. Be sure to let me know what you think. Leave comments, email me, tweet me, whatever the case may be. All my contact information is on the credits at the end. You will have a topic you want me to discuss, maybe that I did not bring up, or you want me to bring up your team, NBA, NFL, college football, college basketball. Let me know. I'll be happy to discuss them. If you want to be a guest on my show, I cannot stress that enough. Just let me know. Contact information is on the credits. Would love for you to be a guest so we can have a debate or a discussion about anything you want to talk about as far as going on in sports. Be sure to go check out MoneyballSportswear.com. I'm repping their shirt today. I had to rep some Moneyball gear today. I'm repping my Moneyball shirt today. So go check them out. Like I said, this is just something basic. They got, this is just me. I'm very comfortable in this, So like I said, at the end of the day, you're going to love their clothes. Go check them out. And if you love Nike, you love Under Armour, you're going to love Moneyball. You might even like them a little bit better. So go check out MoneyballSportswear.com. The only way to ball is Moneyball. Once again, thank you for tuning in. And more than likely, unless something comes up, I will see you guys tomorrow to discuss that Thursday night football game. See you guys tomorrow.